Hey folks, this is Ben Gessel. How's it going? Just going for a walk here. I don't know about you guys, but I've had a few chats with GOG.com, which I'm starting out this particular video with some stuff that is maybe not as deep, but we'll get to deeper stuff here as we go. Yeah, GOG. So a while back, I bought some games on sale with them. Just recently, actually, and 3 of them had issues with saving the game files. Legend of Kyrandia 1, 2, and 3. I haven't tried. I also bought Bard's Tale. I haven't tried that one yet. So in terms of if it'll work or not. I know some things about GOG. I've always been able to use Lords of the Realm 2. I think I played that one quite a while back, and it's working just fine still. But it's the save game files for Legend of Kyrandia. It's a Westwood Studios game that I played way back when I was in my 20s, and why would a company say that the game will work for Mac, but yet you can't save game files? If you can't save your game files for a game that you purchased, you might as well not even own the game. It really burns me up. I don't know if it's dishonest, but whatever it is, they need to put a notice, keep an updated notice on their purchasing screen saying, if you have these Mac operating systems, you won't be able to, save games. So even though it's compatible with Macs, in a general sense, you can't save games with certain operating systems. They need to put that on the screen before you buy something. I don't know how many other people have tried to play these games and have had issues with that. It's more of a awareness issue. I'm sorry, folks. It's just a lot of people out walking around here. It's an awareness issue. Either that, I have a hard time believing that they're dishonest, but a lot of people suspect that right off the bat. Depending on what the response is, I'll keep you guys updated on this sort of thing. And there's just a lot of shadiness, I guess you could say, with buying something online. In general, I remember when you could buy a game in a video game store for so a PC game or Mac game or whatever. I remember when there was the time that you could get the actual physical disc or whatever. Things have kind of changed over time, but there was never an issue with the operating system that you were using. And Macs are just different. You have to keep updating the operating system, and every time you do, there are issues with, compatibility issues with these games and stuff. And there's all kinds of other reasons why Macs are really despised. In regards at least to gaming. Really, truly despised. And you just feel like you're working with idiots. Because, I think my gut feeling is just this it has to do with this communication between Apple and GOG. And GOG, as far as I know, I mean, I could be wrong here. I think it's run out of Poland or something, or Europe or something. And so they're clear over in Europe, across the ocean. And, whoever is in charge of all the techie tech stuff and the compatibility and stuff, yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, this is the kind of thing where you have updates and you have things that will fix these issues. But the question is, how good is your team? How good is your tech team? If it actually has to do with dishonesty, which I doubt, I seriously doubt. I mean, the thing with GOG is in the past you had I think something kind of programmed like wineskin, something like that would let you. I don't know. I haven't had to use that program, but that was an older version of Mac or something that I was using a while back. So it's just different with all the Steam games. I've never had any issues with any of them except for Roller Coaster Tycoon 3. And I'm not sure why I never talked to Steam about not being able to save games in Roller Coaster Tycoon 3. Maybe it's just that I haven't wanted to play the game as much after it stopped being supported or something. It's just that the old games, these nostalgic games, but they're not just nostalgic, they're just great games in general. I mean, it's more about, by the way, Legend of Kyrandia stuff, it's more about the mood, the mood that those games put you in. Rather than, it's not particularly exciting. It's more very settling. It's a very, say, chill, relaxed type game with amazing, it's the most beautiful, vivid colors you can imagine, and very nice, soothing background music, more or less. And it's just the complete opposite of a adrenaline pumping first-person shooter. So I mean, I like that kind of mellower stuff. I've always liked that stuff, and so yeah. I mean, I want to play those things more. Fantasy Adventure's always been more appealing than design, even though I love design stuff. Believe me, I do. Okay, so let's jump to some other stuff here for a bit. So that's all that stuff. So Facebook, they let you know who's having a birthday and all that great stuff, and of course, like many of you guys, I have had all my people I've known that I've, in my life, many people, certainly not everybody. I'm actually far from everybody, but many people I haven't really been around as much for a while. And with some people I've known, I miss them a lot. And I wanted to talk with them about stuff that's going on in my life and all that stuff. So, and then along with a short little happy birthday type thing, I'd rather have a more extended conversation with them. But, Facebook has limitations. But what I wanted to say is more, it's like when you haven't talked to someone for a while and you miss their company. There's all kinds of thoughts that come about, because it's also where I knew them and missing that particular place and all that stuff. In this case, it was BYU, and so it gets deeper in the subject, and it's emotional for me. And there's a corresponding train of thought as well regarding higher education, because This particular gentleman that I was really good friends with at BYU, he's an assistant professor of music, along with other folks I've known that are professors now. The only, I hate to be honest here. It's not that they're better musicians than me. They're not. And that's really kind of not a very accurate term anyway. And it's hard for me to say these things because these are basically friends. But having a master's or a PhD really only means, this is what it means. It means that you have a much greater mastery over a specific content area. And it gets very, very specific the further you go. That's all it means. It's just that you have this greater understanding in this more limited area of knowledge and study. And you spend quite a bit of money to get these degrees, a lot of times, more or less. It varies. Many people with masters and PhDs are finding that they can't use their degrees. And here's even a bigger issue. Many people that have these advanced degrees are working only part-time in what should be a full-time position. Or they're an assistant professor. Assistant. Because that's the only thing that they can find that's available. Being an assistant professor is better than nothing, right? Or something, right? So I keep questioning the whole higher education thing in general. And ever since I was in college, there were all these things that have never been fully resolved to my satisfaction. Especially regarding music composition. They've never been fully resolved. I've always felt like I was being cajoled or pressured to be a certain type of musician. Anyway, it was never. It was just different than, the whole media composition world or the whole. I'm not sure what. I've known some other folks that didn't go to college, that had their own businesses, that have done pretty well. And they're musicians, and they're darn good musicians. So it's kind of like academia is a very misleading world. It's extremely misleading. But it's still, because they need to support their colleges, they still need money. But it's just that the whole system is so outdated, it's ridiculous. And it's insane. It's insane how ridiculously outdated everything is. Unless each person that's involved with academia, unless they have a more direct connection with the private sector, right? And the more that I'm putting myself in here, the more that we as musicians, professional musicians, are more directly connected with the world's arenas, life outside of academia, the better, I think, more marketable our skills tend to be. Because we deal with the real world. When you're talking about academia, you're talking about all these endless amounts of knowledge, which is still fine and good, but it's just more rote knowledge. It's not as skill-oriented, generally speaking. And it's just rote knowledge, much of it abstract, much of it theoretical. It's the same deal with the sciences too. It's the same deal in general with everything, not just music. It's this way everywhere. So I've always been unsure about what program to go into, all that stuff. And I've never gotten any satisfactory responses amongst college faculty, ever. I mean, not fully to my liking. Again, I just felt cajoled, kind of. Like they don't want to, they don't want to, you can start talking about things that undermine, I guess, the very structure of the way colleges run or operate. I mean, I'm just wondering how many other people are saying the same things I'm saying. How many times do you have to beat colleges over the head with this kind of stick of reality? I don't know how many people have masters or PhDs that can't. Oh, you know what? And as I mentioned, these folks, of course, will go anonymous. There's somebody I know who has a PhD as a hornist, so her specialty is performance. That's where she got her PhD in. She's been working at an old folks' home for quite some time. She's, for some reason, I mean, because it's really competitive. It's really competitive to try to get a job, apparently, as a professor. I mean, I think she was curious about teaching at a community college, Horn. There's my aunt who has a PhD in humanities, but she's never used it, or she didn't quite finish her PhD. So I guess, I don't know. But I think she was able to teach at Utah Valley University or something. It's the other big university in the Provo-Orem area. The more I hear about this stuff, I just laugh at academia. You guys are so disconnected from how things are, and your programs are going to continue to shrink, and the professors are the ones that are hurt. It's always the rank and file employees, so to speak. It's never the administration, or it's especially not the government, or it's never the highest ups in who is in charge of whoever, with these places. It's never those guys. It's always your underlings. And you would think of a professor as not being an underling or an employee. Well, I guess they are, in a way, even though they're professors, And they get, hopefully, a decent salary. I don't know what else to say about this, but I have all these thoughts when I think about different people. And it's not that I'm, it has a lot more to do with confusion in life. It has a great deal to do more with confusion in life, and it's confusion that's generated by not getting straight answers from academia. Things that have never been fully resolved when I was younger. About career stuff, career options. If BYU couldn't help me out very much, what other university could do a better job? Unless it was something more in the private sector. I don't know. I don't have the answer to these questions. My parents never gave me even any satisfactory answers. I just know that I'm not a blind. Folks, I do not buy it. And I don't even buy a lot of businesses saying that they're great, whatever. I don't buy that either. I know from personal experience, it's both academia and the private sector. Both those guys mess up so many times. Businesses say the customer's right, always right. No, they're not. But you still try to do everything you can to please the customer, short of acting like a groveling idiot, so to speak. I just feel like keep challenging the status quo. I've always been this way, and colleges hate that, so to speak. It's, the way things have been in the past. It's the way things will always be. That doesn't fly. It's not true. The world's always changing. I heard regarding the music program at University of Washington, one of their big issues and why they've made a lot of professors very angry is that they are trying to be more real world. So that's a good thing, right? Well, they're trying to keep in mind what's actually more marketable. What kinds of jobs are actually out there for different kinds of programs, and emphasizing those programs that are going to be bringing more jobs. I'm going to go for a walk a little longer here, folks. The only downside of all that is they still don't know what the heck they're doing, in my opinion. They don't. It's one thing to say how many jobs are actually opening, these different kinds of jobs, and try to, but that's always changing every year. It's one thing to be thinking about that, but you're still going to be off. You're still never going to get it fully, unless you're I don't know, unless you get all kinds of people researching this stuff, which of course colleges don't do a lot of times. Some fields will always have a lot of demand, but the funny thing is, you'd think engineering would be a great field. Depends on what kind of engineer. just depends. All the arts are always tough, but the more, I don't know, it's just a skill level thing. But then there's different kinds of skills. I've rarely met people that are as good at composers as I am, in terms of just how great their melodies are, in terms of how, yeah. I'm talking about tonal composition, traditional classical tonal composition. It's just not very often that I meet my match, or someone in my ballpark. And much rarer still to meet a composer who has the edge on me. It's very rare. I'm talking about professors here. And people can have plenty of experience and still just be truthfully kind of mediocre when it comes to their craft compared to my skill. They don't get that. It's very easy to see experience, but I'm talking about gift and melody. That's different. So many people that are willing to kind of just they'll sell you short. They'll not recognize your true strengths. They'll not really work with you to help you get the best job you can. Too many people in academia are not going to do that. They're not going to go that distance. Why? Is it because of the workload? When it comes to education, is it a matter of how much they're getting paid? Like, what's the motivation for a professor to help a student? So if professors are outstanding at what they do, there's a lot of things that they can be outstanding regarding what they do. It's like they don't have to be a very great, I don't know if that word educator is what I'm using for, but be a mentor. They don't have to be outstanding mentors. They can be great in many other respects, research and whatever, but yeah. I keep feeling like I'm talking to a brick wall sometimes. I know you guys are listening still, but this is just ridiculous, man. I keep hearing this stuff. It doesn't end. All the videos that are criticizing colleges and universities for being some version of a Ponzi scheme. It's never ended. It keeps happening. It keeps going. Professors that simply want to help students become the best musicians they can, but they're kind of trying to work with the system, but they're construed by academia. All I can say is the truth of how the real world is. I don't know how many musicians are dealing with this. If you guys watch Rick Beato's channel, and he's somewhat more jazz oriented than me, but man, he just watch Rick Beato's channel. R-I-C-K, last name B-E-A-T-O. Beato. He'll verify everything I'm telling you. And there's so many other guys on YouTube that'll do the same thing. It's not even funny. Like, I don't even need to have any real world experience in academia in terms of anything professor oriented to know this stuff. It makes me even more adverse to how things are. But how is this any worse in the private sector, where working for somebody else and they're incompetent in what they're doing anyway? Doesn't matter if they're president of a company or some mid management guy. It's you still see the same baloney over and over again. It needs to stop. It needs to change. Anyway, I'll keep you guys posted about how things go with GOG. I just feel like they don't know what they're doing. That's all I'm saying. And Steam has a little bit better idea what they're doing, but it's not perfect. Catch you later. Take care. Bye.